There's nothing quite like a game that comes out of nowhere and surprises you with how fantastic it really is. It used to happen more to me as a child, since I rarely followed games media or reviews, and since back in 2003, the internet wasn't as all-encompassing and everywhere as it is today. Therefore, whenever massive titles are released today, I often know way too much about it already. I know what it's about, I might know the premise, the mystery, I might have seen gameplay, or other things of that sort. I might be hyped for the game, creating expectations which are perhaps unwarrantedly high, aided by the marketing machine of the game's publisher. Therefore, I'm often, if not disappointed, then at least underwhelmed with many AAA games, and only a handful each year deserve, in my opinion, being called truly great. It is therefore surprisingly delightful when a game comes out of nowhere by a publisher you've never heard of because it's never existed before, and just blows you away. The Forgotten City is indeed such a game, and I'm incredibly grateful that there still exists games like this where you can enter a small world and completely lose yourself in it, even if it doesn't last 100 hours. Or, perhaps on the contrary, it is exactly because it doesn't last 100 hours. Because the Forgotten City is a rather compact experience in the absolute best way. Hey there friends, my name is Andy, and today we're reviewing the Forgotten City. If you enjoy what I do, I'd highly appreciate it if you left a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel, and considered signing up for my Patreon. And now, the Forgotten City. The Forgotten City begins rather abruptly. We're awoken by a woman named Karen who tells us she found us unconscious by the riverbank, and that another person ventured into the woods behind us. Before taking us back to civilization, she asks that we venture after this person to take him with us.
There are some ruins just behind you. Roman, I think. I need you to go in there and see if you can find a guy named Al for me. He went in there a few hours ago, and he hasn't come out. I've been freaking out, wondering if he's trapped or injured or worse.
We do just that, only to discover that not only are there Roman ruins all around us, but that the person we're chasing, Al, has hanged himself.
I've spent a lifetime in this place, going around in circles, searching for a way out. The inscription was right. There is no way back. And here there are only two options: death, or that godforsaken doorway into the past.
Well, inside we find a portal, and to our surprise, we find ourselves seemingly in another world. A Roman world, completely hidden in a cave surrounded by mountains, the only way out apparently being a hole in the sky. This is a truly beautiful place, filled with grand temples, a beautiful palace, a town square, far-stretching aqueducts, fountains, chirping birds, lush trees, a quiet pond, a market district, a housing district, forgotten caves, and even a Roman bath. This city, and the vibe which has been made here, is so unique and so beautiful that it is hard to describe, as everything comes together in this microscopic Roman Empire inhabited by people from all over the empire's provinces, from lowly citizens to makeshift doctors, priestesses, soldiers, and indeed administrators.
We're finally alone. I assume you already know who I am. May I know your name?
The soundtrack elevates the entire experience too, being ever present, always churning out absolutely gorgeous Roman-sounding music, reminiscent of tracks from HBO's Rome, but with a delightful and unique sound. Back to the portal, we're immediately greeted by a man named Galerius, one of the city's around 20 inhabitants.
Salve, friend. I'm Galerius. Mind telling me who you are and what you were doing in the Shrine of Proserpina?
He takes us to the city guard, who then leads us to the magistrate Sentius, the ruler of this place. Here we find that we are indeed in a bigger pickle than we might have thought. You see, not only is there no way out of the city, but its inhabitants live under a rule which threatens to kill them, the so-called Golden Rule. And its mantra? The many shall suffer the sins of the one, meaning that if only one person commits a sin, either by killing, stealing, lying, or committing other forms of crime, everybody in the city will be executed. Every citizen lives with this knowledge, and it is Magistrate Sentius's law that the Golden Rule must be upheld. The question then becomes, If everybody who's committed a sin dies, how do people now know about it? Well, none of the people here seemingly do know anything for certain. All they know is that golden statues are scattered about the place in various poses as if real people turn to gold. In addition, old notes are left behind from people of past times who've tried to escape or challenge the golden rule in any way. As such, this rule is disputed, most notably by none other than Sentius' main political challenger, Malleolus. The day we arrive also happens to be election day, and a majority of the citizens seem to be leaning towards Malleolus, who promises freedom and the abolishment of Sentius' oppressive laws.
These good people have suffered long enough under Sentius' tyranny. By declaring there's no such thing as the Golden Rule, it's a children's fable exploited by Sentius to frighten us into submission.
Of course, as soon as the law is broken, either by the actions of others or your own, the Golden Rule reveals itself to be very real.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
The golden statues adorning the city wakes to life, killing everyone in their sights, turning them to gold as well. Luckily for us, Magistrate Sentius knows an incantation which opens our portal once again, opening up a time loop which lets us travel back in time to the exact point when we arrived in the city, before any rule breaking or killings have ever taken place. This time loop mechanic completely changes the game, as it allows us to manipulate time for our own benefit. However, it didn't really hit me how genius this mechanic is before some time had passed and I decided to actively break it. And if you wish to go into the Forgotten City completely spoiler free in terms of mechanics, I'm about to talk about one of the game's important mechanics right now, just so you know. If you want to avoid that, then you can skip ahead to this time. Anyway, here we go. For a long time in the Forgotten City, I attempted to avoid breaking the Golden Rule unless I somehow wasn't able to avoid it, or if others were the ones to break them. I thought that beginning over and over again would be boring or otherwise be a failure of some kind, that it acted like a punishment for not heeding the rule itself. But not only do you keep all of your items after you go back in time, but your completed missions remain completed. The people won't have any memory of who you are, but you will have the knowledge required to complete their tasks virtually instantly, and you can even tell our friend Galerius to complete them for us. But the most revelatory aspect, the point where it really clicked for me, was when I talked to Lucrezia, the city's resident healer. She needed a bottle of medicine currently in possession of the town's scum, who wouldn't part with it for less than 1,000 denarii. However, when a little voice told me just to steal it, I thought the voice was trying to trick me into being killed. You see, as you walk around the city, a woman's whispering voice follows you, giving you what seems like hints and tips. But when told to steal, I thought something nefarious was going on. Then I remembered, perhaps 7 hours in, that I could just run back to the time loop and reset everything. As I did, and went back to the shop, his bottle was there. Everybody was alive, yet I had the bottle in my possession as well. Turns out, the Whisper was indeed trying to help me. This meant that breaking the Golden Rule became an integral part of the game, something which actually had to be done in order to progress. Ironically, the Golden Rule was meant to be broken, and I think this is the game telling us something about tyranny itself. Is it really worth living in a society where people act within a certain moral code if it means living under strict laws and where every crime means the penalty of death for everyone? The Forgotten City is filled with questions such as these, and unsurprisingly, there's much more under the surface than first meets the eye. In addition to the Golden Rule, a woman is missing, the daughter of the magistrate no less, and nobody knows where she might be or if she found a way out of the city. Another woman has locked herself in the palace, and a man, an Egyptian, has been gone for 2 weeks with no sight of him. Under the city lies tunnels of caves going deeper and deeper, and even though the vast majority of the game involves talking, walking, exploration, and mystery solving, mysterious undead creatures plague certain areas of the game and can only truly be dealt with after having received a bow, which incidentally has more than just one use. If I had to give the Forgotten City credit for just one thing, it must be how it's managed to create an atmosphere and a vibe which is truly unique. The city is gorgeous as it is placed under the mountain, but claustrophobic at the same time. The beautiful music and architecture only doing so much to remove the notion that something is terribly wrong here. The whispers of the golden statues are an ever-present reminder of that fact. It's a truly repressive feeling we're given by being here, but the people, be it Horatius, the soldier stoic,
to bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden. That's from Seneca the Younger, if you're interested.
Equitia, the priestess of Vesta,
A new face. Ave, and may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit?
Georgius the Greek,
Greetings, I'm Georgius. It gladdens me to see another foreigner in our midst. We must stick together, you and I.
or Lucretia the physician,
This shrine was in use as a clinic long before any of us arrived here.
remind us that good people still exist and surround us even in these mysterious times. The mystery of the Forgotten City reveals itself to be so much bigger than it seems at the beginning, and even though I won't spoil anything, I will say that the way the game plays with mythology, religion, and the histories and cultures of the great empires of antiquity really is done so well that I'm going to call it a remarkable achievement. Because the Forgotten City remained as mysterious, beautiful, eerie, delightful, and scary the entire time I played it over the course of about 15 hours. The game has even multiple endings which fire depending on your actions, and after I finished it and received a fairly neutral ending at first, I went straight back in and played until I was able to get the best ending possible. I'm not joking when I said finishing the game completely like this and saw the best ending pulled on my heartstrings and made me tear up from happiness. I can't say the same about many other games, so that is an accomplishment in itself. If you've been looking for an experience with mystery, human and political intrigue, and questions both philosophical and religious with a sprinkle of beautiful mythological fantasy set to the background of Roman antiquity, then The Forgotten City is perhaps your best bet. This definitely is one of the best games and surprises of 2021. Thank you so much for watching, friends. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you leave a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel, and consider signing up for my Patreon. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.